Hello everyone, this is Damien. In this video, I'm going to talk about my head tracking device and camera settings to have a smooth head movement, as many people requested that, and also talk about how you can install any mod files or sound files, in which path directory you need to go, and how simple it is, and yeah, I want to thank every one of you for supporting the channel and for leaving always a constructive feedback down below in the comment section, and because it helps the rest of the community to figure things regarding Falcon BMS, how it works, and all sort of settings all of us need to have in order to experience a better, let's say, visual environment, and have a smooth and nice realistic experience inside Falcon BMS. So yeah, let's move on it. All right, so let's just check the OpenTrack settings. Um, this is the software that I have been using um, for the most part, both in DCS and BMS. I'm just using a simple track hat IR device, and which looks directly on a PS3 camera, and that's how I track my signal. I'm using OpenTrack version 2023.3.0. Here it is, and as you can see, I have a Falcon BMS. Let me reset camera. Let's zoom in and out a little bit. Okay, so this is how it looks. Um, all right, let's just check the settings together and see what exactly works for me. So basically, you need to go here in the options segment. Of course, you need to figure out which of all these settings works for you. I'm using Point Tracker 1.1, Free Track 2.0 Enhanced, and Accela Filter. These are, I think these are the defaults ones as well. I'm not really sure about it, but these are the ones I've been using. So here are the options. All right, first things first, you need to bind the center. So the first tab says shortcuts. You see the center. So I have bounded to the X uh, keyboard button. So every time I press the X, as you can see, it resets the camera to the position I want. So if my head moves or whatever, or drink, I grab my, I don't know, glass of water, drink a little bit, and then I go back and the camera looks a little awful. I just reset it back real quickly. So you can always bind it whatever you want, but it's really helpful to have a reset button to always center the camera back to the initial position. All right. These are the first set of settings. So bind the center. Center a startup right here. Rule compensated, right? That's what I do. Then on the second tab says output. As you can see, I haven't really messed up with these values. I've seen a couple videos with some people messing around with these. I remember back in the day when I was flying the DCS, I was playing a little bit with these. For some reason now I'm not. Nothing really here for me. Relative translation, again, defaults. I'm not really into messing around with any of these. That's up to you. You can Google and search and find, but there's nothing here for me. Game detection, again, I haven't really dealt with this. And here where the important stuff is, the tracker. Okay. Oh, there you go. There's a guy. Bye. All right, let's go. So first things first, camera. Device. This is where you need to select your device. I am using a PS3i camera. I know it's not the latest piece of technology. I most probably going to update it at some point, but I am going to leave it as it is for now. PS3i Open Driver. If I recall correctly, you need to have a something downloaded back, like a software. I don't remember the name of it, but it's very easy to find it. You need to Google it. Then the width. 640 pixels height, 480 pixels. You need to have the same FPS. Here's important stuff. You really need to mess around with these values. I remember back in my previous computer, it wouldn't work at 60 hertz for some reason. Like it couldn't track my head real properly, so I had to bring it down to 40. Uh, I'm not really sure why. It wasn't that my previous computer was bad. It was just not as good, but it could definitely support this amount of hertz. For some reason, it didn't work well, but it does now. So I'm using 60 hertz. You can go lower if you want. Try 50, try 40, could try even 30. Mine is 60, it works pretty fine. Um, Diagonal field of view, 56 degrees for my case. Not sure if I could just go higher or lower. I think this has to do with the LEDs that are located on your track hat device. Um, Not every piece of head tracking device supports the same angle diagonal field of view. Some of them are very narrow, which means you can only turn your head a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right. Some others can actually allow you to go a lot further and still have a tracking marker. Uh, don't pay attention to this. It freezes out often. I'm sure I can fix it somehow, but I'm not really interested in it. I don't care. So dynamic pose timeout, 250 ms. Camera settings when available, open. Color channel, grayscale BT.709. Chroma key strength, I have it somewhere here. It's about 1. And here's the important stuff. It says here, point extraction, automatic threshold enabled. I have this enabled. If I take it away, see what happens? It just doesn't work. Okay, so essentially the threshold, what it does, it shows you how many pixels can be, let's say, recognized. Because if I go all the way to the left, as you can see, it stops tracking these pixels. It doesn't mean that I don't have movement, apparently, but it's just having a hard time. What I realize is how many um, pixels are trying to be processed. So if I go all the way to the left, it won't follow the amount of pixels that are being, let's say, tracked. So see if I could go a little lower right here. It also shows you here the value. It says the LED radius is about 23 pixels. So if I go all the way to the right, it goes up to 30. And because I do not reach 30, it can't follow, it can't track. It's a lot of work for it to do. So, but then again, if you go too low, it still won't track anything. So you need to go uh, so essentially, since my maximum size is 12, anything close to that should suffice. All right. So let's just put it back to let's do 15. Let's do 13, 14, whatever. Let's just do something like that, somewhere in the middle. See? Great. Now, um, about the rest, essentially the model tab essentially lets you select what type of device you're using to track movement. I am using the clip, and it's located to the left of my head of my uh, headset. If you have a hat, a cap, apparently it shows you which one you have. How are the LEDs been placed? But in my case, I'm using a clip. It has this exact shape. All right, this is close to my ear, something like that. This is on the top, this on the bottom, a little longer distance as well. So the numbers here is 30, 40, 70, and 80 millimeters. XYZ to 0. You can calibrate it, whatever. This is what I use. Filter, very important. You need to click the filter. If you remove it, what it does, it adds a little bit of filter for every pixel. Okay, so let me check something. Okay, not big of a difference for this one, but the limit, okay, check this out. If the limit is all the way to the left, what it does is like I turn my head to the right and then it follows. So what you see here is a bit of a latency. It's not bad if you want to do very slow head movements for cinematics, which I do, and that is the reason why I don't want to go too fast with the recognition of the movement. You see, if I go all the way to the right, it's very responsive. It's very nice for flying and real time responding and stuff like that. Right, gives you a lot of action and, let's say, instant feel. But the lower you put this, it creates a little bit of a smoothness, let's say, to how your head moves, um, and how it tracks the movement of your head. All right, so what I do is I go something in the. You can go somewhere in the middle. That's if that works great for you. In my case here, I'm gonna go all the way to the right, because I already have some sort of a smooth movement, as you can see right here. There's no real need for something really low. Um, okay, and then of course the dead zone, which I don't want to have a dead zone. Um, all right, and then about whatever, and then you go to the last tab, filter. Uh, what it says rotation filtering, um, um, smoothing and dead zone, and then position filtering, XYZ, smoothing and dead zone. Uh, I've read somewhere in the internet that you should not go lower than these values: 0.03 for dead zone for the rotation and 0.15 millimeters for the position. So I'll leave it as it is, and then just smoothing, it's up to you. I'm using 1.7 and 1 millimeters respectively. Now, if you move it to the right, actually, let's do this. If I go all the way to the left, it becomes extremely annoying, jagged, very very aggressive, right? And it's also, it kind of reminds me of the VR headsets, like when someone is recording a VR um, uh, gameplay video. I'm sure they experience a very smooth VR environment, but what comes out to us, the viewers, it kind of looks like this. I'm assuming it's kind of the same situation with the smoothing of what it's been tracked. But in this case, you don't want to go all the way down. Of course, if you go lower, it becomes very instant. You see, I move my head, it becomes extremely fast, very responsive. If someone likes that, it's all right. Me personally, I don't. And also, as a videographer, I want to have a smooth movement, so I can, move my head in a way that doesn't make me head sick. Um, right. So I'm something close to 1.7, because I think all the way to the end, it kind of gives me a little bit of a delay, some sort. So 1.7 feels nice, feels good. Um, Position filtering, and again, this affects the yaw, pitch, and roll. That means, okay, yaw, it's supposed to be this movement. Pitch, it's supposed to be this movement. And roll, it's supposed to be this movement. Okay. Position filtering, X, Y, Z, supposed to be respectively. The X is supposed to be this, like strafing and my entire body, my entire head to the left or to the right, from shoulder to shoulder. Okay. Y, it's the height. So if I raise my head, or if I go a little lower, dip down um, on my seat. And Z has to do with how forward or backwards my head location is, how much to come, how close I get to the ICP, let's say, or backwards away from the HUD, right? It's this movement of the head. So essentially, again, same drill. If you go all the way down, it becomes very aggressive, very jagged. You need to find a sweet spot. I go somewhere here, I'd say 60-70% of it. It feels pretty okay. So that's how I deal with the options. And when it comes to mapping, here's the interesting stuff. It, you can copy mine, but it won't necessarily work. And that is because, guys, you need to understand that we don't have the same, let's say, desk. We don't sit away from the camera in the same distance. Someone might be, you know, closer to the camera. Someone might be further away from the camera. It also has to do with where your camera is located at. Is it high on top of your monitor? Is it below your monitor? Is it right dead center? It's a little bit offset to the left. In my case, I have placed the camera somewhere to the, let's say, above my left MFD, if that makes any sense to you. So I have both MFDs in front of the desk, right in front of me. And on top of the left MFD, this is where I have placed my PS3 camera. The reason why is because that's the spot where it becomes centered with my head tracking device, which is located at the left side of my headphones. All right. So that's how it works for me. And let's go real quick through the values over here. Yaw movement. Again, yaw movement, it's tilting your, rotating your head to the left and to the right, right? And what you can see here, essentially what that means, it means how fast this occurs. Apparently, the max input refers to how many degrees of movement you want to do in order to provide an input. So the lower this number is, the less movement you need to do. So now it's in 20. If I go 100 and not 100, but let's say 90. So if I say 90, it means that, and then of course, if I go this all the way to the end, it means that in order for me to go to the end, I need to rotate. Well, 90 is supposed to be somewhere right here. Okay, let me just check. This is where the 90 is. This is the 90 degrees, all right? So I need to literally rotate my entire head all the way back to fulfill this completion of movement, and it makes no sense. So I want to have a very small, not a very, but small movement. So 20 degrees means if I tilt my head just 20 degrees to the right, I have movement. Now, the end of this little dot right here, it means how fast this you want to be achieved. So for example, let's say I rotate my head only 5 degrees, just a little, just a tiny bit. And I want this little movement to fully rotate my pilot's head. Then all I have to do is I grab this without moving my head. I've tilted my head to the right for only 5 to 10 degrees, right? So if I put this here, it means that just by moving my head to the right, the slightest, just 5 degrees, here it is. It's almost at the end. You see? My pilot's head, I just slightly moving my head to the right, and I'm already looking 90 degrees to my right. Okay. My recommendation, you do not really want this, because then it becomes very sensitive and it can get you sick in no time, and it makes no sense at all. So in my case, what I do, I go 20 degrees, put it all the way to the end, and it gives me a reasonable time to rotate my head until I can see stuff all the way to the right and behind me. Again, that works for me. For you, you might need to experiment with different degrees, right? Or whatever. Again, so many people ask me, give me your settings, give me your this and that. Guys, it doesn't really work like that. You honestly have to figure it out on your own. I know it's tedious. I know it's sometimes even exhausting, but it will worth it in the end, because then you will have a setup that really works for you and makes you feel fantastic when you fly Falcon BMS. So that's with yaw, pitch. It's the same drill. As you can see, I go for input of 25 degrees and max of 180. It means that for my maximum of 25 degrees rotating my head, I can rotate in game for 180. That's a translation. And then, of course, I give it a graph, which stops somewhere between 21. Yeah, it is 21, right? And then That's for the pitch, by the way. I should be looking to my right. Pitch. Okay, so it means how high or how low I can move my head. Again, see, if I move my head a little bit and then I bring this closer, oops, the head goes all the way back. Okay, and then if I put it all the way to the end, it means I need to break my neck if I want to see back. Again, that's up to you. You need to figure out how you want to do this. I experimented with my values and it feels nice. Uh, at 21, oops, there you go, and a 10. Hi. Um, Same goes for all. For all, I'm using a maximum input of 180. I'm gonna go a little faster with these. Okay, so from 0 to 180 max input, my value is around 30.5, right? Has to do with roll, and that's the roll movement. You can see right here. X max input 30, max output 75. I stopped my value at 12. There you go. Okay, it's for X, means how much I strafe. Y, input of 30, output of 75. I stopped my value at 8.5 and has to do with how high I move and how low I go. And Z, max input of 30, output of 75, and I stopped at around 12.5, and that has to do with how much I move in and out, forward and backwards. So yeah, it's pretty much it when it comes to track head device, and let's have a look how it feels. There you go. I'm in my cockpit. Let me move away a little bit. So see, X movement, Y movement, smooth and easy. Z movement, pitch, roll, and yield. All right. Now, a lot of a lot of people asked me down below in the comment section, where do I get to install any mods or any skins or sound mods, whatever, that I have recommended on my previous YouTube video. So yeah, I'm just gonna help you understand how this works. Okay, so as I said previously, you go to the Falcon BMS forums, all right, and then you see the thread says community mods and tools. This is the category we're supposed to go, all right? There it is. And you get to find a whole bunch of interesting stuff over here, from skins and textures, sounds. Of course, if you go down here below, you see what's latest. Take your time to explore it, whatever. It's a lot of stuff going on. So yeah, well, some people, when they upload something, they provide instructions. For example, this guy right here, Sheriff, um, he has the all types F16 cockpit and sounds. I'm not sure with the latest update 6 if these files are compatible. I'm not sure, so don't take for my word for granted. To be honest with you, in update 6, every cockpit looks great, so I wouldn't really mess around with these. But if you want, it's up to you. Always backup files. But the sounds mod, I think it works. And okay, there's only one way to find out. But this guy right here, as you can see, this is his first post, and this is the download link right here. And on top of it, it gives you this. This is the directory. This is the path where you should be pasting all the visual mods. Essentially, what happens if you open up the file, let me find it, thing, there it is. So for example, somewhere here, cockpit textures, let's go here, for example. Um, So if you download this, I'm not, you know what, I'm not going to download this. If you download this, it's going to give you, some DDS files, all right? Some DDS files, just like these ones. Okay, as you can see, they have a number, I don't know, whatever, at .dds, all right? Lots of them. So this guy right here, Sheriff, says to you that, hey, if you go to the add-on whatever, folder. Let's say it's EMF or Balkans or ITO or whatever. Then you go to the Teradata folder, then objects, then Korea object high res. As a matter of fact, let's do it right now. So you go right here, you go right here. All right, it says add-on, whatever. All right, so go to the data folder, data, and you go to add-on. Let's say we want to, let's assume these skins work, or I'm just saying, or you want to put the other mod right here with the Block 50 cockpit with the reflections and everything, the one I use, and it's fantastic. It works for Block 50. These are the DDS files you need to download, right? So what you want to do, you want to go to, as Sheriff guides you here, inside turf data. So let's say I select EMF theater, and then I go to tur data. There you go. And then you go to objects. You go to objects, and you go to Korea object underscore high resolution, blah, 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 Korea object dot underscore high res, go inside. And as you can see right here, you get to have a whole bunch of DDS files, all right? And so essentially, if you paste something in here, right, it will give you this. So that's how you paste in um, mods or additions when it comes to skins or when it comes to cockpit liveries and to textures or whatnot. You put it here, okay? Korea object high res for each individual uh, add-on theater. It's one way to go. What I suggest though is before you do that, always you need to back up this file. All right, like literally go copy, paste the entire thing before you add anything inside. Copy it, paste it somewhere in the desktop, create a folder over your desktop, says, I don't know, BMS backup files, whatever, and paste it there as it is with the default files, and then you go and paste whatever you want. So if something goes bad or something is outdated and it won't work or create any sort of issues or crashes down your BMS, all you have to do is going to bring back the original file and put it back. Okay, so always back up the files, always. All right, so the same goes for the sounds. If I recall correctly, if you download the Sheriff sound mod, it would give you, let me check real quick, give me a second. So if you download the sounds mod, this is what you get. Add-on XXX, important. What's the important about? The guy says you need to go to the config file, find the line that says set GN dynamic voices. The default is a number much lower than this, but Sheriff says you need to put it on 256 instead and then save. And then the settings, he provides a photo of his settings when it comes to volumes and everything. That's up to him. Like I said before, you need to mess around with these values and find what works for you. To be honest with you, I'm not following these. I don't have player voice activated because I use Foxbox. I don't have mask breathing sounds anymore. My engine internal, external, and external sound and cockpit, it's a little different. I played around with these values a lot to figure out what works for me, and you should do the same. So if you go here, as you can see, right, Adon XXX, you have two files, sound and sim. Let's put this back here. Okay, so when you go in here, Adon XXX, you open it up, sorry, you see two folders, sounds and sim. So in my main installation, Falcon BMS 437, I want to go inside data folder, and there it is, the sim folder and the sounds folder. Now, you could just directly copy and paste these things over here. But as I said before, you need to first make sure these two are backed up. So copy Seam and Sounds folder, paste it somewhere over your desktop inside your BMS backup folder, and then you can simply just drag and drop, copy and paste the Sounds and Sim folder on top of these ones, and this is how you install the Sounds mod. And yeah, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you have always the option to bring back the original folders as they were. There's a possibility that might create some issues for in some cases. I'm not really sure about it. Believe it or not, I'm actually using this Sounds only with my Balkans theater, which is the theater I fly the most, and then EMF. I haven't used these sound mods on any of the other theaters. Um, it's also a way for me to check if it creates any sort of issues or not. But yeah, that's how I do it. So yeah, let me know down below in the comments if that was helpful for you. Let me know if you have any other issues with it. I think you just need to take your time, explore it. Let me know if this video was helpful for you. And yeah, thank you so much.